the most winning games for a first-year coach, as well as going undefeated. It was pretty cool to kind of see the IG post where the first game, John won, the players are throwing the water on him.
Yeah.
And then the last game, he comes in throwing the water on the players. So it
Yeah.
was pretty cool kind of seeing that.
That was good work by the social media team over there,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah,
They
yeah.
kind of did the alpha and the omega there of the whole season and
Yeah,
everything. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean that's a big accomplishment. It's only been done 19 times in the history of Duke basketball, which 19 sounds like a lot, which it speaks to Cameron's power, but it also speaks to in the long history of Duke basketball over 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
19 times isn't really that many. So it's a big accomplishment for this group and for what they've been through. And there were times they didn't have the whole roster. A lot of times for a lot of those
Right.
games.
A lot of times, yeah.
Yeah. And I think back to the Miami game in January when the team really wasn't playing very well, and also the Pitt game in January, right? That was only a week after that NC State
Yeah.
loss.
Yeah.
Roach was out, and they beat both those teams at home. So great accomplishment for the Blue Devils in that one. I do want to, speaking of Bet Online earlier, I mentioned I want to remind everybody that Bet Online is the number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. Everything from pro and college basketball to UFC and MMA and more. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at Bet Online with live betting options, free contest, live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. Bet Online is truly the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite leagues and events. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline.ag, where the game starts. Blue Devils, the revenge tour. We talked about winning at home, and that's important.
Right.
That revenge tour really works when they're at home. Last 20 years, they've never lost the game in a rematch situation from the same season. When they lost to a team on the road earlier, that team comes to Cameron. Duke is perfect, 19-0. It really speaks to overall the program, the strength of the program and the pride in the program. But this group in particular, right? I mean, this is a team that is filled with newcomers, except for Jeremy Roach and Jalen Blakes, and yet they had the wherewithal to pull it together. Virginia Tech and NC State in particular, because of the way that loss went in Raleigh, to pull it together and win both those games, fairly handily. I mean, I know this State game ended up being close at the end, but Duke was up 12 points with 2 minutes to go. So that was a really impressive performance, both games.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, you kind of hit it the nail on the head. This team is a very young team, and with the exception of Blake's and Roach, but this team has gone through a lot of adversity throughout the whole year. I mean, with Lively and Whitehead being hurt, then them coming back, and then Whitehead being hurt again. Roach sitting out some games during a key moment during the season, sitting out some games, and we didn't have a full roster until later in the year. And then once we, finally started having a full roster, you kind of start seeing the steps that we need to take. So it's great to see that this team is now clicking on all cylinders, later in the year, getting ready for this last game against Carolina and ramping up for the ACC tournament. But it's been great to see that the progress and the mindset of these young athletes have been, everything been thrown at them. And they've been still believing in the process of what Coach Shire and the Duke staff have been preaching to them, day in, day out. And it speaks volumes about their maturity level, as well as just, them just having a certain professionalism to them, kind of taking this job serious. And no matter if this guy is hurt behind me or I'm hurt, we are trusting each other that they can come in and have our back and, hold the ship, so to speak, until, the starters or the key players get back.
Yeah, and to me, and we have plenty to talk about with the Carolina game. Looking forward to that on Saturday night, but I do want to revisit Tuesday night against NC State. And on the point of maturity, let's talk about the progress Therese Proctor has made as a defender, right? He's made a lot of progress on the offensive end, not discounting that at all, but he had the assignment on Terquavian Smith the other night. And, Smith scored in single digits. Only the second time this year that's happened to him. He rarely does that. He didn't get a three-pointer until late. It was garbage time by the time he hit his three-pointer last 2 minutes of the game. Watching that game from sidelines, I could see Proctor was in his jersey the whole time. I mean, they were pushing and shoving each other away for the ball. We saw the technical that Smith got when he pushed Proctor and he tripped over DJ Burns, and everybody says it's a flop. I know, I saw social media. I get it. He bumped into DJ Burns, and that's going to make you bounce off. We all know what DJ Burns looks like, right? So, but my point is, look at the defender Tyrese has become, and that. What do you think about what you've seen from him in that department?
I think he's growing up. I mean, like you said, I was looking at the stats. He only had 8 points. The guy who's guarded Smith, we only had 8 points, 2 for 9. And having this assignment coming off of the last
Hunter Couture.
Yes. Having that assignment as well, he is taking the responsibility of being, hey, I'm the defensive stopper, so to speak. So for him to have a young guy like that, to have that mindset where, I want the guy who's hot right now. I want the guy who's leading, them. I want to shut him off and, cut his water off where he can't, he can't go anymore. Fortunately for us, I was a little bit worried because Burns had 7 of the first 15 points.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I've seen this story already. Calm that down. He kind of threw out young and lively and flip at him. Kind of, bang his body up, and he wound up having what I think 13 points with 6 for 15.
Right.
So he wound up kind of getting shut down, throughout the rest of the game. But those first 7 of the first 15 points, Burns had, like, we got to, slow this guy down. And fortunately for us, we didn't get a chance to really shoot the ball well from 3. I think we only shot like 10%, something crazy.
Yeah, 2 out of 19.
19, yeah, 2 out of 19, which is something that we can't do going deeper in the ACC tournament as well as the NCAA. So, but the fact that we killed them on the boards, we had a lot of offensive rebounds, which was kind of, you could tell going in that that's what we need to do. We need to get first Burns off the glass, and then we got to attack the glass on the other end and make him tire him out a little bit. And I think that did a good job of what they did because he wound up starting off hot and then kind of fizzled out later on as the game went on.
He did. He was 2 out of 10 from the field in the second half. So that tells you what happened. You're right. They wore him out some. Some of the shots he usually makes didn't fall for whatever reason. I know a lot of times, and you saw it too, they would throw Flip and Lively. They double team him some and try to confuse him that way and prevent him from making that little up and under move he does a little bit, which is for a big guy like that, that's a tough move.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he has a soft touch. I mean, I was very impressed with him when we played at NC State because I had no idea who the guy was. I'm like, who was this lineman over here playing basketball, but he had good feet and soft touch, and he's posting up a 3-point line and backing guys down, and it wasn't just us. He was doing that throughout the ACC. So it was kind of crazy seeing that. But the fact that we kind of took onus on him because we knew coming in that he hurt us bad last time as well as the guards. And fortunately, we was able to kind of shut down 2 of them. The other guard, I forgot his name.
Joyner.
I think he had 26. Yeah, 26. He was not 18. Yeah. So he still got his, but we were able to shut down, Smith and Burns. And, 2 of those guys were, high double-digit guys for us against us last time.
Right. They have 3 top scorers there, the 2 guards, and then Burns inside completes the balanced offense. And Casey Marcel, to a lesser extent, hit some 3-pointers in the perimeter. They shut him down too. But Jordan's going to get, somebody's going to get their points. Somebody has to score, right? So somebody's going to get points, but you can't have all 3 of them getting points, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then speaking of getting points, I mean, our captain, Roach, he showed up big for us. Every time we needed a big basket, he's coming to the lane, he's doing a little floater, or he's doing his little scoop under layup, and he was very, very aggressive. So he had a really good game. We had 4 guys in double digits. I still would like to see Whitehead a little bit more aggressive, but he was at least 2 for 2 versus the last couple games where he wasn't shooting the ball well. So I'm hoping that he's getting that confidence back and he's getting that step back. But he's not. I'm glad that he's not forcing things because a lot of times when you're trying to get your rhythm back, you're trying to force a lot of bad shots, but he's still playing within the rhythm of the offense, and that's been good to see that he's not letting that get to him mentally, and it's showing. I mean, he played well defensively, and I just like to see him a little bit more aggressive on the offense end.
Yeah, he's a driver and a slasher. As it was his reputation was from high school and that level. So obviously he's defended different here, but that is part of his game, and he's getting into his rhythm. He's a guy that we get to, well, now it is March, but we get to the tournaments. Every once in a while he could pop up and hit you 18 or 20 points out of nowhere, and that's a weapon a lot of teams would like to have. So
Yeah,
especially coming off the
especially off
bench.
bench. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but what you said about Roach, I want to get back to that too, because I wrote something in the paper after that game about him and about how during this winning streak, he's averaged almost 16 points a game. And to me, the thing's different about him now from earlier in the year is the drives down the lane and finishing. He was missing a lot of those early, it seemed like, or maybe when his toe was bothering him. And his toe still isn't 100%, by the way. He tweaked it a little bit during that game. He told us that every once in a while he just steps on it and you see him like kind of shake his foot a little bit, and it hurts some, but anyway, he's better. He can play through it, obviously. And that he had 5 or 6 of those finishes during the game, the NC State game. And when the team's not shooting well from 3-point, right, you got to find high percentage shots to make up for that. And that's a weapon that we didn't see again all this year from him. We saw it some last year in the NCAA tournament when he was playing well. And boy, if that becomes a consistent weapon for them, I mean, look out. That's, with what Filipowski gives you and the other balanced scorers they have, Parker scoring more now, to have that high percentage base to build off of just 3 or 4 of those a game, can keep you from going in those long stretches where you don't score for 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and we need that. Obviously, as I said before, we shot 10% from 3-point,
Mm-hmm.
3-point land. We can't go into games, trusting that our outside shooting is going to be there, because it's been kind of up and down, inconsistent all year. But the fact that we have a guy who knows, how this goes, especially late in the season, late in the game like that, is great for our team. And I'm seeing like guys like Proctor kind of take notice what Jeremy's lead is doing, and he's doing the same thing. Like, I'm being more aggressive. He's been able to hit, some shots as well, but he's been kind of up and down with his shot. But you can see he's wanting to take those big time moment shots, and
Mm-hmm.
we're seeing that now with him. So the growth with him has been great to see. But it just, for me, I just wish that we can get a little bit more from our outside perimeter shooting. And like I said, it goes back to Whitehead, where I'm hoping that he gets more aggressive, because like I said, he had 2 subpar shooting games, and then last game he had 2 for 2. They only took 2 shots the whole time. But
Yeah, yeah.
but I just want him to get a little more aggressive, because what we saw in Syracuse,
That's where he had 4 threes.
yeah, he was catching, shooting, and he wasn't even thinking about it. Like, guy was in his face, catch, shooting, a little bit behind the 3-point line. You could see he was confident. He had like his, even in when he got hurt against Virginia Tech.
Yes, that game he had 17 points when he got hurt.
Yeah, you saw it. You see it, and then it's like something happens where we can't just get a full game like that. And I'm hoping that, with all the emotions that, the rivalry game with Carolina has, I'm hoping that that kind of triggers something, good, in a positive way, where he's not thinking about anything anymore. He's out there just playing and letting loose and having things kind of come to him naturally.
And this will be his first game. He missed the first game with Carolina. That's when he was out.
Right.
That was just a couple of weeks after the injury against Virginia Tech. So, this will be something special for him to go over to take that little bus ride over to Chapel Hill and see what they got. Right. So, so thinking to that matchup, what Duke did defensively against NC State. Well, in a lot of ways, what they have to do against Carolina, because you got Love and Davis on the perimeter who can score. You got Baycott inside, who's one of the best, if not the best player in the ACC. And you've got to find a way to guard both. And now that Pete Nance is shooting a little better for Carolina, I don't know if Duke will be able to have Filipowski double down on Baycott, something like they did DJ Burns. Maybe we'll see maybe they'll put Mitchell on Nance. And Mitchell's been a good defensive player too. But that's to me. That's just the initial thoughts on the matchup. They really held Carolina down shooting wise. I think in the first game at Cameron, Carolina shot 34%. So that's the kind of defense Duke needs to play to get things going, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. But the only thing is, all the plans that happen when you preparing for a rivalry game kind of go out the window, so to speak, because once those juices and those and energy levels start flowing, and all of a sudden you kind of get into it and you think of it, and you get the energy from wherever fan base, whether it's at home and you get the love behind you, or you in Chapel Hill and they were hating you and booing you and pointing at you, and things like that. It kind of like you kind of zone in on the game and you kind of forget sometimes. Oh yeah, what did coach say about this? Oh, we're gonna run this. Oh, I forgot about that. Just
Yeah.
get caught up in it. So things always happen. I mean, we've seen times where both teams, like now are not ranked, but yet it still be a really good game, or it'd be a team where it'd be ranked in the top 5 and a team in the top 20, late in the 20s, whatever, and it still be a great game. So it doesn't matter. A rivalry game, you never know what to expect. So it's going to be great to see how both these teams play, especially last home game. So I'm hoping that we kind of get it back to them because they kind of finished our last home game
Mm-hmm.
last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that we kind of do the same thing to them. They had their players, come back, and we know we need to do to get to the next level, and
Yeah.
all the trash talk that they was talking about, whatever. So I'm hoping that for me and my sake, I'm hoping that we kind of give to them just a little bit more and in their year on a loss at their home, like they kind of did with us.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. We all got our guys back. We're all Carolina talking about they're all ready to make the run again. Here they've won 3 in a row, right? Coming at the end of the year when they're on the bubble and they may not make the tournament, but now they're starting to come on. I was just before we taped this, I was on a call earlier today with a show that happened to be a couple of Carolina supporters or fans that were on there, and that was all the talk was okay. Flip the switch. Here we go. It's just going to be like last March. Carolina's going to get into Dayton and go all the way to the Final Four. So this is Duke's chance to stop that, right? This is the opportunity.
Right. So it'll be especially for a lot of the former players, it'd be a little bit kind of a joyous occasion if we see that happen, where all of a sudden they didn't even get a chance to even get to compete in the tournament. So
right.
for them, the Dayton tournament with is it 4 or 8 teams?
Yeah, it's the first 4, but it's 8 teams.
8 teams,
4 games. 4
games. Yeah.
So we'll see if they get out of that. Right now I think that's where they're heading. If they beat Duke, that'll give them 2 quad 1 wins. That'll kind of boost them a little bit. Then have to do some work in Greensboro next week. But anyway, yep, that's enough talk about Carolina's team. I think we'll talk about Duke. This is what this podcast is about, although they're playing them. So yes, but the point is, Duke can put a stop to what the momentum Carolina's on, and frankly, they're finally playing. It's like they have to be hungry to be able. They have to have their backs against the wall to find their stroke. They played well against Virginia, but Duke is playing, better than anybody in the ACC right now. 5 consecutive wins, 8 wins out of the last 10. The Virginia game is one of those losses, so really maybe it's 9 out of 10. They've played winning basketball in all those games except for the Miami game. And now Duke only shot 39% in the game against Carolina back in Cameron. So that was a game where they didn't shoot very well. But that's why it was 63-57. I would think we'd see a little more points scored maybe in this game. I don't know. That's usually the way these teams play, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would hope so. But if we're not scoring, our defense got to be a big factor. So if we're not scoring, then they sure can't score either. So
right.
I'm hoping that if that's going to be the case, because like I said, we can't handle a lot more of these 10% 3-point shooting games and expect to be in the game or ahead in the game. So things like this, it's kind of an anomaly because when it does happen, other things got to go well, and for us to go well was, Jeremy Roach hitting big shots down a lot of stretch of the game, us getting turnovers and us getting stops and crashing the offensive basket so we can get, second chance points, which will end up giving us 42% from the 2 shooting wise. So, but if the other things are, continuing not to go our way, we're still doing a good job of finding ways of trying to, rectify that pretty much.
And that the offensive rebounding is such a huge factor because, when you only hit 2 out of 19 threes, there are going to be shots, second chance points available. And Duke has done an exceptional job this year of taking advantage of that, of getting those second chance opportunities and converting a lot of them. And that's been everything to this offense. When the shooting hasn't early in the season, that carried them to some wins that maybe they wouldn't have gotten without that. And so now that the shooting's a little better overall, they're still rebounding well. So even when they do miss, they have a good chance to secure it and get another possession. And really break the heart of the other defense. You know how that goes when you're on that end of it. On the opposite end of it, you do a great job. You force them into a miss. They get a rebound. They get a second chance basket. You've defended for 40 or 45 seconds and you still give up the basket. And that's really, disheartening. So that's what they want to do Saturday night in Carolina. And one thing will be back to Duke's defense. Proctor on either RJ Davis or Caleb Love, he and Roach will be on those two guys. And really, getting in their heads, kind of like what Proctor's done and Roach a little bit too to these guys lately, picking them up at half court, shadowing them around the court everywhere they go. And then, Duke does some switching, right? But for the most part, you got one guy kind of chasing another guy and getting under his skin. That'll be the big thing, is getting, because Caleb Love can have times when he goes the hero ball route. And if he gets frustrated, he might say, I'm just going to chuck this up and score on you. Oh, I missed another one. No. So that's what you got to do, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I'm the outsider looking in, but it seems like their chemistry is not quite the same as it was, especially when they clicked last year and kind of went on that little stretch. So I'm not sure exactly what it is with that, but if I was able to find out, I would definitely be using, that against them and kind of, saying a couple words or something, whatever, kind of get the edge.
Yeah.
But the fact that we know that we have a promising, a really good defender now with Proctor, and him wanting to take on this assignment, I think it's great to see that he had two really good defensive games. Now, can he string along a third meaningful one at that? I'm not saying that you always got to be a stopper, but if you over here, him not getting the opponent not getting the career average and keeping it underneath them, that's a great thing. Or just taking him kind of completely out of the actual ball game, and like you said, have him go into that hero ball. Because if he's doing that, that means Baycott is not over here, getting his stuff. Leaky Black is not over here, just kind of slashing to the basket. Other factors are not being, featured because one-on-one hero ball, and all of a sudden everybody's kind of out of it. So, yeah. But I'm looking forward to that matchup. I think that's going to be something I'm kind of key on the most, just because I've seen now two really good defensive games from Proctor.
Yeah, and against two of the better perimeter scorers in the league, and Hunter Couture and Terquavian Smith. So it's not like he did it against the bottom teams in the league or anything. These are two really good guys that he shut down, and it's going to have to continue, because that's it. This is you mentioned the rivalry and the passion and emotions are everybody's going to be on edge. If you can start getting under somebody's skin a little bit and take them out, that's the key. And so, Proctor on the outside, Lively and Filipowski. Lively will be on Baycott, right? So he's got to do the job down there, trying to get him frustrated. And yeah, it was just a couple of weeks ago when I think Carolina lost at Wake and pretty badly. And, Baycott kind of said, we're having practice Thursday. If anybody wants to play hard, show up. If not, don't bother, that kind of thing. So there is some internal something going on there again among all those guys coming back. So Duke needs to take advantage of that, right?
Yeah. At least you hope so. But hey, this is a game of run, so you want to use as much as you can to take advantage of. So whatever they got going on, keep it on that side of the Tobacco Road. We don't want it on this side, because we're clicking on this side.
Yeah, but Duke's got it together. That's right.
Yeah.
They had their meeting after the Miami game, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's really turned it around. It was that they're all on the same page. They all know what they want to be here for. They want to win. They want to put banners up. They came here to do that, and before they go on to whatever else they're going to do in their basketball career, they want to win a championship and do that. So this will be the last game, regular season before Greensboro. Duke can be anywhere from the 5th seed to the 3rd seed in Greensboro. So there are many paths to Duke getting the double bye still. After Pittsburgh lost to Notre Dame on Wednesday night, that was an upset that probably didn't really see coming, but here we go. That's what happens late in the season. So mostly Duke has to win Saturday night, or they're going to be the 5th seed. A Duke loss would eliminate all the other stuff that's above that, all the scenarios. But if Miami beats Pitt, and Duke beats Carolina. Duke's the 4th seed. There's many that Miami and Pitt are playing. That's really kind of for the regular season title. And then Virginia's got Louisville. So Virginia factors in there as well. If they lost to Louisville, which again would be an upset, but strange things happen, right? So
you're right. You're right. I mean, we've seen it throughout the whole course of the year. I mean, you see a team, think that it's going to be, no chance, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, it's an upset. Like, what's going on? Like, I mean, you just said it yourself, like Notre Dame beating number 1 Pitt. Like,
yeah,
I didn't expect that to happen. I mean, I know it was Brady's last game, but I didn't expect that to happen. But it happened.
It did, and he, it's funny because he recruited Capel and he coached Capel a couple of years at Duke before he went to Delaware. Bray, I'm talking about, and
Okay.
and then he had to stick it to him. Sorry,
yeah.
Competition, right?
Yeah.
So Pitt plays Miami Saturday. Duke plays North Carolina. Louisville plays Virginia. Clemson plays Notre Dame. So for Duke fans, you need to root for Notre Dame. You need to root for Miami because Duke has the tiebreaker with Pittsburgh because they beat them. They split with Miami, so they don't have the tiebreaker there. So that gets a little more confusing. But just for simple purposes, the better rooting guide here for Duke fans: root for Notre Dame, root for Louisville, and root for Duke.
Right.
If you want Duke to have the double bye and not play till Thursday, so I can get an extra day. We can all have an extra day to rest.
Extra day. There you go.
Before we convene in Greensboro.
Yeah.
For the tournament. Anyway, so that's a lot going on. It's March. We'll be coming back with another episode early in the week. We'll tape it Sunday after the Carolina game, put it up Monday, and then we'll go from there. As far as it depends upon when Duke plays, we'll talk about that with everybody on the next episodes, when the episode will come out after that, because of the tournament schedules and everything, and when they're going to play. Because if Duke plays Wednesday, we can't really get another pod out to you before then, between that and the Carolina game. But anyway, it's March, everybody. Sleep when you can.
Because it's about to get real hectic. It's about to get real hectic. So, I mean, I can't believe it's already March 2nd right now. But yeah, we in March. So this is go time now.
This is go time. The brackets come out a week from Sunday.
Yeah.
And then it's go. Then we'll have Duke will be in the NCAA tournament again. So anyway, thanks everybody for listening. Appreciate Bet Online sponsoring the podcast as usual. Shelden, rest up, get ready for Saturday, 6:30 ESPN.
6:30.
That's right. The last go ahead.
As long as it's not a late game. I mean, these late games be killing me.
Well, that's why I kind of, just to revisit that for a second, the seeds. If Duke's the 3 seed, they play at night in the ACC tournament. So the 2 seed, for a while they were 6. That would have been like 9:30 or something. So anyway, if they're 5 or 4, they play in the afternoon. Okay. So that's what I'm looking for. So anyway, everybody, enjoy the game Saturday night. The last time Duke and Carolina played, again, the ratings, almost 3 million people watched that game. Number 1 game of the year so far in college basketball. I'm sure it'll be the same thing Saturday night. Even though they're not ranked, doesn't seem to matter, does it? Everybody loves the Duke Carolina rivalry. It's the best thing going. So enjoy it, rest up, and we'll have another episode for you next week. Thanks for listening, everybody.
All right.